about homelessness because I find that the groups that are working on homeless issues obviously talk about these issues, but when you talk about gentrification and the changing city, homelessness just doesn't come up as much as I would assume it would because it's really getting worse. I was at the Pal BART station a couple weeks ago counting the bodies on the ground. Usually it's around 5 to 10. This time it was like 24, just in the Pal Street station. So Tommy, I saw this on your Facebook page, and I just wanted to read this from the Bay Area Reporter online. It found that San Francisco officials released a report showing 29% of the city's homeless population identify as LGBT, the same figure that was reported in 2013. The Chronicle had a piece recently about how the homeless population is getting sicker and older. Then they also took a look at where the homeless are going. So because there's so much development downtown, they're going to places like the Marina, the Castro, to these neighborhoods that maybe you had the person you knew on the street, and now it's just the numbers are growing. So can you talk about, first off, this is you focus on this issue. What are the changes that you've seen in the past couple of years? And what about the response from city officials?
Well, the second part is easier to answer. The response from city officials has been dismal, absolutely dismal. It's a total disgrace that this city has not done more and done more that would be effective. I'm just seeing, like you, I'm seeing more people. I live in the Castro and I work in the Mission. The Mission, there's definitely been a huge increase in especially homeless encampments in the Mission, and they become little communities. And one of the things that Bevan Duffy has said, who runs he's the homeless czar in San Francisco, Mayor's Office of Hope, one of the things that he did was so big was the Navigation Center, was to try to bring in some of these groups that are living in the Mission and try to bring them into this Navigation Center, make it welcoming for them, and try to then get them into permanent housing, primarily in hotels. I mean, that to my mind is one of the best things that we've seen come out of the city since I don't know when. I mean, I don't think the city's done anything that creative in a long time. And I mean, I think the fact that, you know, in the queer community, we're seeing that 40% of homeless youth identify as queer. 40%. That's 4 times the number that we supposedly are in the population. The number that she commonly uses is that we're 10% of the population. The fact that 40% of homeless youth identify as queer shows that there is a problem. And the problem is, it's all connected to the housing crisis and the cost of rent. Because San Francisco is a city of refuge. Queer kids have been coming here since the late 60s because it's a city where you can get more acceptance than you could anywhere else in the country, including New York. So they're coming here. They're still coming here, even though the rents are really high. But they're coming from places where they're getting beaten up, you know, where they're getting kicked out of their houses. They come here because this is where you go, because this is where you're going to be accepted, no matter who you are. But they come here, and even if they get a job, they can't afford the rents. And you know, back when I moved here 24 years ago, I moved into the Castro. I worked at a different light bookstore. I was getting minimum wage, but I could survive on it. You know, I had a 2-bedroom apartment for $800 a month, and I had 2 roommates at the time. And we were all minimum wage jobs, and we made it. And that's what all these young people were doing. Because I was working in the heart of the Castro. Young people were arriving still all the time, but they were moving into these flats in the Castro. You get a flat for $800. You have 3 or 4 people living in that flat. So you're paying $200 a month. You can have a minimum wage job down on Castro Street and afford the rent. Well, the dot-com boom hits, and suddenly that $800 apartment is $1,500, and then it's $2,000. And these kids were getting kicked out along with everybody else because the landlord was saying, these guys are paying $800, I can get $1,500 for this. So what did they? They ended up on the streets. And then we had tons of homelessness in the Castro, and that's when we set up a whole bunch of youth shelters. There was a lot of controversy in the Castro about these kids and blah, blah, blah. We're seeing in the Castro, I think, is we still have all these queer kids, but we also have other folks who don't identify as queer, but they're coming to the Castro because they perceive it as a safer place to be homeless. And the neighborhood is still going crazy, which is a great, I find that shameful. The Merchants Group is very anti-homeless. The Castro Benefits District is very anti-homeless. And we're constantly battling them. And the fact that our LGBT shelter is in the Mission and not the Castro, to me, I mean, I love the Mission, and I'm really glad the Mission welcomed us, but it should be in the Castro. And we first approached Scott Wiener, the district supervisor, we wanted to do it in the Castro, and he said, no, I won't support you because the neighbors and the merchants won't support it. And that's why we went to David Campos, and of course, David Campos said, yes, let's do it in the mission. But so I think it just is getting worse and worse, and it's increasing in a lot of communities, including the queer community. It's increasing, and the fact that this homeless count for the second year in a row is showing that the numbers are staying the same. That's a sign that nothing's being done. And I lay a lot of that blame on Scott Wiener, as the queer supervisor of the queerest neighborhood in the city. What is he doing? David Campos, who's also queer, I mean, to his credit at least, he's supported us all the way with Marty's Place and with Jazzy's Place. And every time we've gone to him with an idea for helping, he's of course welcomed us and given us all the support he can. But he's only one person. Where's the rest of the system? And it's not just queer homelessness. Where's the system in doing something? I don't see it.
Tommy, I keep hearing the statistic. Let me just ask Tommy a question. I keep hearing the statistic. The #1 cause of homelessness in San Francisco is eviction. Do you think that's true?
Yes. I think it's that combined with people coming here and not being able to afford rents. I think those are two heavy contributors to that.
Yeah, I think it's still over 100 people that die on the streets every single year. But there's a number that is invisible, which are the families who refuse to leave, L-E-A-V-E, are homeless and are living in their cars, but basically are homeless, are sharing a sofa, are sharing a living room, 2 or 3 families to a place. It's not easy to become homeless, actually. It's a long road to get there. And it has a lot to do with mental health. It has a lot to do with physical health. And for Mayor Lee and for the mayor's office, it has a lot to do with funding of public health and public health workers and the outreach and the work that is done. Just like we don't have enough education on your legal rights, we don't have enough outreach in the area of public health with both through the school system, through the service agencies, through the service to the elderly. So it really is pushing the whole lack of affordability and the whole myopic operation based on immediate cash. That's what has become the operation, the MO of the City Hall has created a serious problem of public health that we need to address and we will address.
And I just wanted to say that on a personal level, when I was being threatened with displacement, I knew I only had a couple months to find a place, and luckily I did. It's so important for us, if you do have a couch, if you do have a spare room, let a friend know if you hear that, because this happens all the time, and we have a great guest policy in my house, and so whenever I hear that they found out that they're getting evicted or displaced, I'd let them know right away, you have a couch to stay on for at least a couple weeks. That is huge. Don't forget the importance of that. But secondly, in 1906, we had a crisis with an earthquake and people were displaced. And what happened in Dolores Park? The cottages popped up. Don't let the permanent be the enemy of the good. Interim housing that we could create for our homeless neighbors right now, even though it's not ideal, it's better than being completely exposed to the elements. And so I'm really interested, and I was thinking about this the other day, wouldn't it be an amazing thing, because my mind likes to connect the dots, and right now also there's this cultural push. There was a group of artists that banded together to get more money added to the budget for the arts, and they were successful and got $7 million extra. It was amazing. ABBA is the group Arts for a Better Bay Area. And one of the cultural areas that they were focused on was the Ohlone, and how do we support Native Americans. And I was just looking at these huts that the Ohlone used to make, and I was thinking, what if we could do a modern day kind of Ohlone hut that we could actually employ Native Americans and people, like homeless people, to create these things, that we could actually house people in this interim way. It doesn't have to be that, let's just throwing an idea out there. But people are already living on the streets and encampments. What if we actually said we care, we tried to make it a little bit better and gave some support? I actually saw this list of thousands of these spaces that the city owns that are like alleyways and things like that. We could actually invest in that, and that's a great job for artists and mental health workers right there that need jobs right now. So how do we connect these dots and create jobs and support people in an interim way?
Are we running out of time?
Yes, we're running out of time. So final thoughts, and then for the two of you, how much commitment and devotion are you going to give toward actually running and competing in this race? So why don't you, 30 seconds, final thoughts, sorry, Francisco.
Final thoughts. Peoplescampaign.net is a website. We've created it in such a way. FranciscoForMayor.com is within that, but it's peoplescampaign.net so that we can actually house and give space for the kind of activities that Tommy's talking about. Our second goal with winning the mayor's place is to create the space for us to engage as a citywide. So that website is there for our causes to be part of our whole campaign. So November 3rd, we're not ending a campaign. We're actually at the first phase of a 12-year plan to make San Francisco be a healthy city for all of us together. Peoplescampaign.net. Please donate to that. Help us build that. Do we answer the second question now?
It was just how serious are you going to take the race?
Well, I've walked out my first formal shoes now. Walking, and we are not dead serious. We are live serious about winning this campaign. We need to move people. We need each of you to donate to our campaigns. We need each of you to sign up as a volunteer. We can do this if we move people. There's 600 precincts in the city. There's 70% of folks who are disenchanted or for one reason or another are not registered to vote. Please help us register them. Please call us. Our campaign manager coordinator, Miguel Perez here, 415-240-1697, 415-240-1697. Our website is peoplescampaign.net and franciscoformayor.com that you could reach us at.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
gracias.
if you can take 30 seconds because we have to clean up and make sure and get out by 9.
Sure. So I got into this after Thanksgiving of last year. So I've really dedicated my whole life to this. I live on very little money, but I'm very committed. I've been doing that for years anyway, though. But I'm very committed to making this happen. And because we have to be live serious, we have to be creative. Like I said, I have this cakewalk survey. I want to get 1,000 people to take this survey. I already have 126. Everybody in this room, if you go to yimbyformayor.com/cakewalk, and I'll hand out these sheets too, and pass it around to your friends. If we have 1,000 people who take this, then that is really a push that we can have. We're having the cakewalk event in front of City Hall on August 17th from 5:30 to 7. There will be cakes. They will be decorated with the issues we want to debate Ed Lee on. So, we have to do this in a joyful way and creative way to get people on board. And really, it's going to be voting 1, 2, 3. Whenever you're talking to someone about voting, say, who are your top 3 choices that you're going to vote for on that ballot? And yimbyformayor.com, I'll pass these out if you didn't get one.
We want to remind people that the ultimate goal is to take back the land. That's the solution to the housing crisis. Is take back the land. We won't accept anything but that. We need to, in terms of development, we need to totally stop luxury condo development until we have enough affordable housing built. But we also need to give control of development in neighborhoods to the people who live in those neighborhoods. They should be the planners, not the planning commission. And finally, we need to go back to the idea of a war on poverty and homelessness. And I use war even though I'm anti-war, but we need to have a movement that is going to actually get down and do the nitty-gritty and end poverty and homelessness for good in this country and in this city.
all of you, I'll make my 30 seconds really quick. All of you know people, all of you have friends. Given the current patterns, the odds are pretty good that 2 out of every 3 of your friends will not vote in this election. You got to make it your mission that that doesn't happen.
Yes.
You got to make it your mission to make sure that everybody you know goes out and votes, and that everybody you know who's got a spare 10 minutes or a spare 20 bucks contributes to either one of these campaigns, or to the mission moratorium, or to the Airbnb, or to the District 3 race. Don't let us lose because not enough of our folks vote.
And voting by mail.
And voting by mail, you can vote by mail. It's easy to vote now. You can vote by mail. You can vote like a month early. It's it's easy to vote. Don't let any of your friends get away with saying, "Oh, I didn't vote in the elections. There was nothing on the ballot."
It really is the vote for the life and the soul of San Francisco voters.